Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Shaman's Cave. I'm Renee Baribeau, the practical shaman.
Hi everyone, I'm Sandra Ingramman and welcome to the Shamans Cave. And Renee and I have been talking for a long time before the show. We haven't been together for a while. We've both been unbelievably busy teaching and out there in the world. And so we've had this richest time of catching up. And so, in my conversation with Renee, I started to talk about something really powerful. And as I was thinking about it, I said, wow, Renee has so much life experience. I think we can bring a lot of brilliance into this. And so a couple of years ago, just to introduce this topic, a couple of years ago, I just saw this very quick thing on Facebook of a picture of buffalo walking face forward into a storm. And I absolutely know that we've shared this on the Shaman's Cave before. And so I found myself walking in a blizzard right after I saw that post. And I made believe I was part of a buffalo pack walking through the storm. And I came home, I was alone on this walk, and I came home from the walk. I felt so refreshed, and I felt a strength moving through me. And so I have a disorder that is incredibly painful. It's a rare disorder, and it's known as one of the most painful disorders that there is. And when I first developed it, I said to my doctor, I don't know how people live through this kind of pain. And he said to me, well, Sandra, I don't give out painkillers. And I said, I'm not asking for painkillers. I can't take them. But I said, I'm just holding the question of how do people live through this kind of pain. So anyway, that was 10 years ago. And I have taken an action in the last couple of weeks that puts me back into the original pain that I experienced because what I realized is I've been spending, the download that I got this morning was that I've been spending 10 years trying to find roots around the pain, supplements, exercises, breathing, all kinds of things. But what all I'm doing is trying to find roots around the pain. So I finally decided to try to walk through the pain like a buffalo walks through a storm, that the pain
Hmm.
is just another storm in a person's life. And what I found is that when I started walking through the pain, like I walked through the storm like a buffalo, instead of trying to find roots around it, how do you get away from this? I ended up getting into the one of the clearest spaces I've ever, not, I can't say in my life, but in 10 years, I've come to the clearest space that I've been. And I started getting all these amazing spiritual downloads where in this pain, I felt that I did an entire life review and was able to look at my past behavior, and that by choosing to walk through the pain and not finding another route and having this clarity and this life review happening for me, that it threw me into another cycle of life where the only thing I can say is I feel like I've been reborn, and I'm so excited about where this walk is going to take me to. I am so excited about the blessings and the opportunities, but I had to choose to walk through the pain and not keep trying to find ways around it. And so we can all look at this, whether you're in physical pain right now or whether you're dealing with the pain of where our world is going right now. How much are you trying to create paths around the pain because you don't want to experience the fullness of it, which brings you like a snake. When a snake sheds its skin, it's an incredibly painful process. It has to push its body through. It's not just dropping flakes of skin. It's a whole unbelievable initiatory process. And you come out new and reborn afterwards. So the the topic that Renee and I started having a conversation about is where can we get to in an incredible place of higher consciousness if we stop looking at ways to avoid and suppress the pain from what we're experiencing in our own personal lives and by watching what the world is going through today.
Mm. So many good nuggets in there. When I was in my 30s, early 30s, I went to this church. I've gotten a lot of great wisdom over the years from like a sermon or a preacher. And I was there, and this preacher talked about that you had to dance with the bear.
Mm.
And being that a bear has been my totem, I always kind of understood that idea of that there was no way around but through. And you pick up these little, like, think about it in your life, the one sentence insights that you get. And so all through my life, it's like, oh yeah, here I am. I'm gonna have to dance with that bear again. And I think one of my greatest teachings came from the time that I had the pinched nerve in my neck. And it was a time, and I have to admit this, I was not in a lot of integrity at that time. I was newly learning skills. And the, sometimes I think and one of the topics we were talking about is people want to learn the techniques, but they don't want to master the art. And so I was learning the techniques of journeying and doing, even the sweat lodge. I think at that time I was showing up, putting the blankets on, doing the thing. And yet I was living totally out of integrity. I was pursuing somebody who was married. I was not in alignment with my higher potential. And so when I got a pinched nerve in my neck, it took me 3 years to heal it and 3 years to realize that I was turning and only looking part way. I wasn't seeing the truth of who I was and how I was living. And when I finally did, lo and behold, I healed that illness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. It's it's really a powerful thing. I mean, I went through a really, really hard emotional state back in the 90s. And I've shared this story where I journeyed to Isis and I said to Isis, "What's happening to me?" And she said, "Well, you're going through an initiation." And I said, "Well, I don't think I'm going to live through it." And she said, "If you thought you were going to live through it, it wouldn't be an initiation." and um, and then as I continued with this initiation, my own helping healing spirit kept saying to me, "The only way out is through. The only way out is through." And so that's a theme that's in all my books that came out of that initiation, and it's a theme that's in all my courses and all my newsletters, and we've talked about it here. So that was emotional pain. And now I'm dealing with a different level of physical pain, but the lessons are still the same.
Mhm.
There's no difference in the lessons. The only way out is through. And what I'm finding is I'm just holding the question. I just want to pose this question for all of us. in the spiritual community who is feeling pain on so many levels of what you're watching and experiencing in this time that we're living in on the planet. And how many roads are you trying to create that lead you away from the pain that you're experiencing right now? And what would happen to us as a collective, as a spiritual collective, if we were all willing to face the storm instead of trying to find routes around the storm, but face the storm and just walk
Hmm.
and see where we end up?
I love this because it's like, you're right. It's so nature informed. And in the Wind Clan, what we do is we call this a wind bath. And if and where I kind of got these ideas for some of these practices, like the wind bath, or to go into the headwind, is from deer, and as you said, buffalo. Deer are very aware of the subtle changes in the air, and from either being tracked or tracking. And so the thing is you can use these same headwinds to do your own self-tracking, to what you just said about, like, I'm going to be like a buffalo and I'm going to fiercely walk through this storm. Well, that's tracking. That's tracking yourself into a situation that's uncomfortable, that's a little bit scary, and that's going to make a huge difference for when you come through on the other side. And we've been taught like these goods and bads always. There's pain is a bad thing, being free from pain is a good thing. Well, both are nature's experiences.
Right,
The tree's not out there complaining in the windstorm.
right.
It's digging in its roots, it's getting a little firmer, it's bending, it's shaping, where they're like, oh, well, I'm in a lot of pain, and I shouldn't have to have this experience. And I don't think that that's the human experience. Otherwise, we would be bubbles of light, and we wouldn't have these human bodies that fail us and teach us. And a lot of times we don't want to learn. I've been watching somebody on Facebook sharing about some of their illnesses. First of all, I'm there like, well, why would you be sharing this on Facebook? Because then you get all of these people throwing their opinions at you, which is like not a thing that I want to put out there. And then also, I'm going to hike another 30 miles today, and I'm thinking, like, could it be that your body's telling you to stop?
Right.
Like, we're just not listening to the clues.
Yeah, it's really interesting what you're saying on that, because the disorder I have is called dystonia. And I have the most common form, I have the most common form from the past. The new form of dystonia, which is really fascinating and it's becoming epidemic, is runner's dystonia. And what's happening is all these people are running because we're trying to deal with the stress of life. And our brain is going, this is too much for me. So what runner's dystonia is, you're running and all of a sudden your ankles collapse inward and you fall over. That's what runner's dystonia is where your ankles refuse to keep running, so they collapse. It's your body's way of saying, you're pushing me too hard, stop. And if you don't stop, I'm going to force you to collapse. All the physical therapy centers that are making millions of dollars to try to get runners back out of their dystonia, they're making millions of dollars. And these poor bodies are saying, would you just stop trying to run 30, 40 miles a day? This is not healthy. And people are making millions of dollars retraining people of how to get back out there again. How crazy is that?
It's so funny. I read this Dr. Gundry. He's really popular now, and he's talking about what you shouldn't eat. But when I read his book originally, it was the first time anyone really aligned to my thinking. It's like, you know, when we were out in nature and we had to run, it was usually to get away from the bear or the bison or the buffalo that was chasing us. Like whoever thought it was like a good idea to go out and run 30 or 40 miles at a crack. And yet it's that same thing where, runners or plane jumpers or all this, like, it's about the endorphins and getting ourselves out of pain again. It's like, oh, if I just run hard enough, I won't be depressed. If I just go to the gym and exercise enough, I won't be this.
Right.
It's like, I don't know. I personally like my wind walks. I go out, I take an even paced walk into nature, and am I getting what I need for, this perceived need? I don't know. I never was one to buy the runner story.
Yeah. Yeah. And what I'm seeing in my waking up in this pain, is why why are we trying to run away from the pain that we're feeling right now? Because the pain has so many lessons for us, no matter what level it's on, whether we're emotionally, mentally, physically in pain right now. There's such teaching for us. There's so much that's asking us to go within and to look at and reflect. And I just got the biggest download. It was like a near-death experience where when I was walking through the biggest part of the pain this morning, I saw my entire life right in front of me and everything I've done and why, and how I might want to change that now, and being reborn into a different person. And what all I did was make a choice not to try to stop the pain. That's all I did. And I got the biggest gift that I could have gotten from doing that.
And you can't see her, but I can, because even though we're only recording this, I can see her face. And I can see that shift because, watching, we've been sitting here for 7 years. We've watched each other through a lot of different things. And one of the things is like to really watch somebody move through that with such integrity and figure out, like, what is this pain trying to teach me? What do I need to do to be of service still in this world and be in this kind of pain? And a lot of us, we either hibernate with our pain or we mask our pain. But I'm here to tell you that both Sandra and I are been in integrity with our pain, and we have we have danced with that bear through it. And it's like peeling an onion. It's
Mhm.
another new layer. And so I can't wait to see what comes for you from this.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that we planted a seed for all of you to think about. Of so many people are triggered about what's happening in the world today. How are you suppressing, really going in and experiencing how uncomfortable you're feeling with what's happening, and being able to walk with that and then through that into another place. Just hold that thought. Just hold
Mhm.
that thought, that possibility. Just hold the possibility.
I love that. And, you can join our Buffaloes Walking Through the Storm clan over at the Shamans Cave, and over at YouTube. You can follow us. And it seems like a lot of people have moved from the YouTube to listening to us at your favorite podcast place, but we're on all of them. So stay with us and keep sharing in the Shaman's Cave about how you go through these experiences, because those are the posts we love to share.
Yeah, and people are posting some of those right now, and
Mhm.
there's some really beautiful posts that are coming up finally. So
Mhm. I've just denied enough posts. Me and Sylvia have denied enough posts that they're like, well, if I write that, they're not going to share it. So
Right.
write from your heart and we will share that. So we'll see you soon.
Blessings.